Drop it! Dead or alive, you are coming with me.
You're dead! We killed you! Love that guy!
Welcome back to the Titanium Hangar. This is Mike. Today I want to talk to you about the 2022 Neca Robocop. This is a reissue of the 2011, and I think they redid with a different color scheme in 2015. But it's pretty good to see this back at retail again. Finally, is pretty much exactly what I expected. There's a little bit better and a little bit worse to this figure, but we'll get into talking about that. And then we're going to compare this guy to all of these other Robocops back here and more coming up. First off, we're going to take a look at the box, and the box does look pretty good overall. It's really heavy on the movie because it's based off of the movie and all that kind of stuff. So we got all of these great shots. It does look like we're opening up maybe the VHS from the 80s in a way. There's a nice picture of the actual product, and there is the product that's in there. Now, this one is a little more expensive than the first 2011 release. You can have a bunch of accessories. We'll talk about all of those. And yeah, looks pretty good. Packaging's great overall. All right, so here he is, and he does look pretty good. Now, if you've had any other iterations of this mold, then you know exactly what I'm talking about. He is pretty much the same exact thing now. Right here with this is pretty much all you got with past releases of this exact figure. But I want to say when I took this out of the package, I was surprised about a few things. The first, well, just really one, that every joint was, except the neck, was pretty much seized up. I had to give some force on this to get this to turn, and then the elbows to turn. Now that is, in my opinion, because they have a lot of painted parts. Pretty much everything on here has some paint, and then it's painted and assembled. So it was really hard to get the waist to work and all that kind of stuff. I didn't heat anything up. I gave it a go, and I was like, I got another one, so if it breaks, just take one back, so it's not a big deal. But I do like the way it looks. I like the way the first one looked, and I think the paint job on this enhances it just a little bit. Now, everyone's going to complain about articulation, so when we get to that, I'll kind of explain why it's not a problem for me. But overall, he does look fantastic. So let's just take a quick look at what's going on here. The head, let's let it focus on that. He looks really nice. Nice, shiny kind of paint job. We will compare him to Raw and Toy Quicksilver and see how close the paint is. I think the Quicksilver is shinier, but I don't think they were going for super duper shiny. It has all that kind of detail that carried over from the first figure, and I think they did a great job in 2011, so I'm pretty happy with getting this again. I think it was in pretty high demand, and so great idea to put it back out again. Don't know if they had to pay extra license. This is, now this we're going to get to this hip action. It's different than it used to be, but I like all the detail and stuff that they have going on right there, and that does all open up on the side hip. Then down here we got the pistons and all of that great stuff. So yeah, overall, a good-looking Robocop, and it's funny that it's 11 years old mold, and it still sort of holds up today in every way, other than articulation. Holds up. Does he stand up? Yeah, he stands. He didn't fall. So I took the time to watch a few other reviews on this, just to kind of see what other people were thinking, and for the most part, people were rating it really low ratings, and they weren't very happy with it or whatever. But for me, it's about the same. I'm not disappointed. I'm not really overly stoked or anything. But first, let's go ahead and look at his gun. Now, this gun here is from that scene, and it's, of course, very, very famous for the 7-shot bursts that it does. And it looks pretty good. It's going to fit in the hip later on. We're going to go into all of that and all of that function. Now, this does now have a blast effect. You can put it on there. I wonder if it only goes one way. It is only designed to go on one way, and I have to admit that it's sort of cool. I don't think I'll ever display it like that, but it's kind of cool they included it. So in 2011, this was a $20 figure. Now it's $30, $32. It was $30 for the Fall Geek Out online. In the store, it was $32, and then now on BBTS, it's like $38. So for all the extra money, you get 3 extra accessories. So, but look how the hand, it grips it and puts the finger into the trigger, which it has a trigger hand. So really, it's got 2 hands. So let's look at the other hand now. That was seized up when I got it because of the paint and all that. Not really a big deal to do a swap-aroo. Okay, it is a big deal to do a swap-aroo. And you get this data point on there, which is exactly the same as the previous one. Actually, I didn't realize the previous one had this painted, so that's a plus. I just did never pay attention. So that's painted properly and accurately, so that looks pretty good. Then he has this giant gun, and it's independently you could independently put these legs down. That popped off. It just pops right back on. But man, that was a surprise. Something as simple as this. Let me play with it off camera for a second. No, didn't need to. Maybe I put that back on wrong. So you can put it down so he can sniper with it and all that kind of stuff. And it does look exactly like it did on the show. This was the bad guy's gun, but you know, he's confiscated and blew them up. So that's how it goes. Wait, spoiler. If you haven't watched Robocop was last week. If you didn't watch Robocop yet, then I guess I spoiled some stuff for you. So he's got a strap. He can carry it with him and all of that kind of stuff. And let's see what it looks like in his hand. So here he is holding it, and I would say the strap looks nonsense. If he's holding it. You might want to like tuck it away or something. And this just keeps falling down. So I'm not impressed with this gun, but it's something they included with a previous version of him. So they already had it, so let's just throw it in. But I would rather not have these on it at all if they're just going to keep flopping down like that. But there's this other alternate head sculpt, and it does look like Weller? That he is Robocop. Like anyone else trying to be Robocop is just a fake Robocop. There's something about that jawline and the face and the way all that works. I mean, he is quintessentially Robocop. Alright, so let's get into the articulation, and it is quite limited on this fellow. But the head, all around, he can look up a bit, down is like, is that a 209? Is that a 209? That's the Neca and Kinner. Okay, shoulder goes out to here, that's it, and all the way around. So, not much you can do with that shoulder. That's as far as it goes with the elbow. This can spin around, and the hands don't have any movement. So again, an old design that they just put back out, but it still looks good. So I mean, that's Neca wins on looks, and he's got torso. It's like a ball torso, which sort of holds actually. It can hold, and then you got the 360 in the waist. So that works fine. You've got the leg movement, and then the knee. And my knees were seized up. So almost all the joints were seized up. I just gave him some pressure. I know what it can do. I knew what it could do, so it didn't bother me. Now, he does have articulation in his strut there. So that's kind of good. And it's hydraulic. And then there's no side to side on the feet. Now, the feet can be a bit touchy for stability. He doesn't have any trouble standing once you get him in position, but make sure you got him in position. And if he's top heavy by holding something, then could be a bit of an issue. Now, why do I not care about the articulation on him? And I think a few have said the same thing. The thing about it is that he didn't have a whole lot of articulation in the movie. Like, he was really restricted in that suit. So it is sort of accurate to real world to have that level of restriction, but you know, not having hand movement kind of sucks, but it doesn't break the sculpt. The sculpt looks fantastic. And I'm a sculpt junkie, so I guess I'm okay with it. Now for his gimmick, hip firing action. Let's pop this out. The gun is going to go into the holster, and it's hard to know exactly if you've got it in there just right. So it just takes some fiddling with and trying to figure it out. And I don't even know myself the guide to get it in there just right. I just know you just push it in until it feels like it's in there. Which there it is, and then you push it to close it, and if you don't have it in right, it won't close right. So there it is. That's how I do it. And do I do it right? Well, let's see. It popped out. So you have to really, if you don't want it to pop out like that, you got to make sure there's like a notch right here. It's supposed to hold it in place, and then I mean you can kind of tell. Let me see if I can do that. I got it hiding behind that notch, and it flew out again. It just, it's still a bit flawed, but I think they reworked it. It works a little bit better than the 2011. I think 2015 they reworked it, and I didn't even really know because that one was my son's. But I know there's a way to keep it from popping out like that, but I've got it in there. All right, and I pushed it down a little bit. Maybe that's the solution. And now it's not wanting to close. So it's fiddly. You got to get it in at like the right exact angle. Anyway, I don't think it's worth going much further. You kind of see how it works, right? Now for some quick comparisons. This is the new one. This one is the 2011 version. And as you can see, they kind of remolded the piece right there. It's different. Mine's kind of funky, but it's a better paint job. It looks a little bit nicer, but some people still like the original the way it was back in the day and back to 2011s. But everything is exactly the same molding wise, and the only difference is a bit of paint, and articulation's exactly the same. They do look the same. I do kind of like though the little extra paint and the little more of a kind of a metallic look to it, so that kind of works. Now there's another one that they made in I think it's 2015. Again, I got it used, so I didn't know. I don't know. I was buying Neca lots and just like people selling 7, 8, 10 Neca figures at once, and I would just buy them up. And so with that, I got this guy. I think he's the comic version, but again, I don't really know. And as soon as I got it, my son confiscated it. He wanted it. He wanted to do chores, and every dad's gonna be happy to have their kid want to do chores. But they've redone this. I didn't even know this one had the hip holster action till he came and showed me. But it's the same kind of thing there. It does have the hip holster action, so I didn't know that. But it does look cool, though. I mean, it's a cool looking look to it. Just straight all purple on the back. It would have been nice to have a mixture of colors there like the front, but still kind of cool overall. It's nice to have. I remember when I bought the lot, this was part of the reason I bought it, and then of course he confiscated it. But I'm always allowed to use them for all these videos. This one here is Toy Island, and it has electronics in it. So in my mind, I was kind of thinking, well, this Toy Island one is about the same size, but it's a little bigger. So you're talking 7-inch and 8-inch. I mean, what a difference an inch makes, right? So not a huge difference, but still, you're talking 90, 94 or something, 97, somewhere around there. 91, 94, 97, in the 90s. And it had electronics, and it did almost the same articulation, a little less articulation though. And we have some smaller 3.75 inch up to 5 inch, and this is the Kenner Robocop, which had that terrible gun that mounted to the wrong side, the wrong hip. So I mean, everything was wrong with that. That was based off the cartoon, and it's a terrible toy. I had it as a kid. It was my only Robocop, but even as a kid, I knew that everything was wrong on that toy. These are Toy Island, which came later. I guess this one came next, and is a lot like the movie, sort of based on another type of cartoon, and then based off yet another cartoon that was like really strange, and so much bigger. This one I think has some electronics to them too. But yeah, we've come a long way. Here's a nice little group shot of Robocops, old and new. Yeah, a lot of fun. Right, so here he is next to the Ramen Toy Quicksilver, and is he a little bit shiny? As shiny, a little shinier? It just depends. It's a different type of paint, and this is smooth. There's all kinds of detail on that. This, as stylized as people were trying to say this is really smooth compared to this guy right here. So, I don't know, maybe they're about the same level of shiny. Here's next to Super 7 Lino, and they live in that 7-inch world together. Both Super 7 and NECA in harmony. Isn't it beautiful? The Bat's taller. Still pretty much, well, quite taller. Makes me scared about the Joe line. I was kind of hoping the Joe line would fit classified a little better than this, but I don't know. Those are gigantic figures coming from Super 7 for G.I. Joe. And walking straight out of the Filmation cartoon is the Super 7 He-Man, and that's how it looks next to your Super 7 He-Man, or I guess a Classics, or I don't know. He's not going to be quite as tall as what they're doing with Masterverse, but that's how that looks. So I hope you enjoyed this look at the 2022 reissue of the NECA Robocop. Now this thing does look pretty good. It does pretty much what I expected it to do overall. I do like this guy, and I have to say that it carries on the flaws from the 2011. I mean, I expected it, but it continues to do a pretty good job at being the best Robocop. Higher price point comes with some extra accessories, which are nice, but ultimately I won't use any of them, so would have rather had the old $20 price point bag. But if you're interested in getting a Robocop, the best looking one that has been made for the 112 scale that I know of so far, maybe there was a Mezco or something, I don't remember, but I'm not into spending 70 or 80 bucks, 30 to $38, then I think it's pretty good. Once they sell out, I mean, these things were selling for 150 for a while, so once they sell out, the price is going to shoot back up. So if you want one, this is your time to get one. Let me know in the comments below, like and subscribe. Hanger out.